I will talk today about the rise and fall of the Spanish Empire, the first global superpower. It was an empire so vast that it was said the sun never set upon it. From the mountains of Peru to the islands of the Philippines, its influence stretched across continents and oceans. At its peak, it was the richest and most powerful state in the world, a colossus that shaped the destiny of Europe, the Americas, and Asia. But like all colossi, it had feet of clay. This is the story of ambition, gold, faith, and inevitable decay. This is the story of the Spanish Empire. Our story begins not with a discovery, but with a marriage. In 1469, the marriage of Ferdinand of Aragon and Isabella of Castile united the two most powerful kingdoms in Spain. The Reconquista, the centuries-long drive to push Muslim Moors from the Iberian Peninsula, culminated in 1492 with the fall of Granada. Spain was now a unified, fervently Catholic nation, ready to project its power outward. And in that very same year, an ambitious Genoese sailor named Christopher Columbus, backed by Isabella, stumbled upon a new world. This accident of history gave Spain a colossal head start in the race for empire. The Treaty of Tordesillas in 1494, brokered by the Pope, effectively split the uncharted world between Spain and Portugal, granting Spain the rights to most of the Americas. What followed was a wave of astonishing, brutal conquest. Hernán Cortés, with a few hundred men, toppled the Aztec Empire. Francisco Pizarro repeated the feat against the mighty Inca. The conquistadors were not just soldiers. They were entrepreneurs of conquest, driven by a trinity of motives: God, glory, and gold. The final piece of the puzzle was dynasty. Through a series of strategic marriages, their grandson, Charles V, inherited not only the Spanish throne but also the Netherlands, parts of Italy, and the title of Holy Roman Emperor. Spain was now the heart of a global European superpower. When Charles V abdicated, his son Philip II inherited the core of the empire: Spain, its American colonies, and the Netherlands. Philip's reign marked the zenith of Spanish power and the beginning of its permanent strain. He saw himself as the defender of global Catholicism. His navy won a legendary victory over the Ottoman Empire at Lepanto in 1571. But his ambitions were immense and costly. He launched the Spanish Armada against Protestant England in 1588, a disastrous failure that shattered the myth of Spanish invincibility at sea. Meanwhile, the true engine of the empire was in the mountains of Bolivia and Mexico. At Potosi, millions of indigenous laborers, forced under a brutal system called the mit'a, mined the silver that would make Spain rich. This silver was the first true global currency. It paid for Spanish armies to fight wars across Europe, and it flowed to China to pay for silks and porcelain. But this was the empire's fatal flaw. It became a silkworm economy. Instead of building domestic industry, Spain lived off imported treasure, leading to devastating inflation. The wealth of the New World was spent, not invested. The 17th century was a slow-burning crisis. The river of silver began to slow, but Spain's commitments did not. The Spanish Habsburg kings, now less capable, poured endless resources into the 30 Years' War and countless other conflicts against the Dutch, the French, and the English. The state declared bankruptcy, not once, but repeatedly in 1557, 1575, 1596, 1607, 1627, and 1647. The empire was bleeding itself dry. Plague and emigration depopulated the Spanish countryside. The gap between the grandiose court and the impoverished people widened. The symbolic end came in 1643 at the Battle of Rocroi, where the famed Spanish tercios, undefeated for over a century, were crushed by the French. The military myth was broken. The final blow to the Habsburg line came with the mentally and physically infirm Charles II, who died without an heir. The War of the Spanish Succession that followed from 1701 to 1714 saw Europe tear itself apart to decide the fate of the empire. The Bourbons of France won, but Spain lost its European possessions. The 18th century saw a partial recovery under the Bourbons, but the empire was a shadow of its former self. Then Napoleon Bonaparte delivered the death blow. In 1808, Napoleon invaded Spain and placed his brother on the throne. This act shattered the legitimacy of the Spanish monarchy. Across the Atlantic, colonies that had been governed from Madrid for 300 years saw a power vacuum. Inspired by the Enlightenment and led by revolutionary heroes like Simón Bolívar and José de San Martín, the American mainland colonies fought for and won their independence in a series of wars from 1810 to 1825. So, in a single decade, Spain lost the bulk of its empire. The final symbolic end came in 1898. In the Spanish-American War, the upstart United States defeated a weary Spain, taking its last major colonies, Cuba, Puerto Rico, and the Philippines. The empire was gone. So why did the Spanish Empire fall? It was not one cause, but a cascade. First, the imperial overstretch, fighting too many wars on too many fronts. Second, economic mismanagement, relying on imported treasure while neglecting domestic production. Third, rigidity, an inability to adapt politically or religiously in an age of changing ideas. Fourth, the rise of rivals. England, France, and the Netherlands were more agile and economically diverse. Yet its legacy is indelible. The Spanish language, the Catholic faith, and a blended culture stretch from Patagonia to the American Southwest. It was the first globalized world, a network of people, plants, animals, and ideas, the Columbian exchange in action. The Spanish Empire proved that no power, no matter how glorious, is immune to the relentless forces of history. It reminds us that the true test of power is not in its acquisition, but in its sustenance. What do you think was the single greatest factor in the fall of the Spanish Empire? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this journey through history, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more dives into the past. Thanks for watching.